But it's like it's the dude's day in a way. Like I always treat Sunday as a bummer free day. That's been my thing for a long time. My buddies in college, actually, I think it was immediately after college when I moved in with a couple other Alexes. We started saying, well, why don't we just like order pizza and do nothing and maybe like smoke a little weed and just fucking enjoy Sunday. And I've taken it as my sort of credo on that day. It's I don't go to church or anything. That would be way too much effort or work. And yeah.
Also, it's 104 degrees outside. So
right. There is also that.
You're lucky you got me here, quite frankly. So welcome back, everybody, to another exciting episode of The Purpose-Driven Dude.
I don't know if exciting is the word I would use to describe this podcast.
I just realized that was like the thing that was about to come out of my mouth, and then I realized what I was about to say.
It's gripping. It's going to keep you on the edge of your seat. It's the Purpose-Driven Dude.
Yeah. So I have no idea why that was the first word that came into my mouth there, but I did have a goofy cookie before I came over here, so perhaps I'm just already jumbling.
That's an exciting prospect for the continuation of this episode. I think it should be good.
Yeah, no, I thought, well, if I was going to do this is the episode that I do it in. Mm-hmm. So I ate a cookie that was made with marijuana.
Yep. Well, in this great state of California, such things are legal nowadays. So it's a good time. Yeah. And we'll be diving a bit further into that as we go on here. But I guess we should at least introduce the dang old podcast before we get too much further in.
Oh yeah. No, that's 2 episodes in a row that we've done that, huh?
Yes.
I'm one of your hosts, Brad.
And I'm Alex.
And welcome back to The Purpose-Driven Dude, the podcast about the slowest growing religion in the world, Dudism.
Based on the movie The Big Lebowski, and loosely based on Taoism and Buddhism and pretty much on any other ism, I suppose you'd like to apply.
Whatever philosophy you choose to apply with it, as long as it results in you not being an asshole.
Yeah, if it results in you taking her easy for all of us sinners and, just enjoying life and all of its many mysteries, then I guess you're probably doing it right.
Yeah, I was about to say, welcome to the fold, brother.
Yep, Brother Seamus, as it were. We're going to go ahead and dive in here. Our first segment this week, of course, as always, is
Notably Doodly. I don't know why I did that.
So much singing with this segment. It's,
I keep trying to figure out if there's a way to effectively transition into it, and I haven't found it yet.
I don't think there is. Our transitions are loose, to say the least.
I was about to say they are lackluster at best at the moment.
Look, some podcasts will be all flashy, and they'll do like audio transitions with music, or they'll have like inserts of other kinds of editing. But people don't come to the Purpose-Driven Dude, I think, for the flashy things. They come for the simple things, like sloppy transitions.
Yeah, simple, like sloppy transitions and me forgetting what I'm talking about.
And questionable audio quality.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, now we've been okay. We're still better than certain other productions that I have listened to in the past.
That's true, and we're improving. We're gonna have photos coming out probably close to this episode dropping that'll show our new setup. The
third one in 3 weeks. Cool.
Yes. This is what you do with a new podcast. You play around a little bit. You just explore the space. In this case, literally exploring the space of my apartment. So.
Yeah, we'll figure it out eventually. Unfortunately, you're just going to have to deal with the upstairs neighbors no matter what. That I don't think that's going to change.
True. I mean, they're basically like the third and fourth like members of this podcast at this point. The clogging upstairs neighbors.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
And now I'm realizing as many times as we say that people are probably going to actually believe you have professional cloggers living upstairs, which just delights me to my core.
I mean, for all I know, that's actually what they do. So, you know, this is LA. You don't know your neighbors in LA. I don't talk to those people. Come on.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know?
All right, so back to Notably Doodly. The task fell to me this time around to discover someone in society that is demonstrating the attitudes that are pertinent to dudism. And I realized that, quite frankly, just coming from a place where I was very anxious and frustrated and depressed and was looking through the news trying to find somebody that made me happy, I couldn't do it.
It's trying times these days.
Yeah, like I was literally going through and I was like, maybe this, no, that's a problem. That's not going to work. So I'm actually going to be kind of reaching a little bit back, just a couple of years. This person is still very relevant, but not for any particular one thing that they've done recently.
Sounds good.
And so to that end, for Notably Doodly this week, I have chosen comedian and actor Eugene Mirman.
Excellent.
Listeners may know him as the voice of Gene Belcher on Bob's Burgers. He was also in Flight of the Conchords. Is a very talented comedian whose work has been seen live on stage. Has a comedy special on Netflix right now that everybody can check out. Also, just releases album after album of comedy gold.
He was on Archer for like a 2-part episode. That was excellent.
No, he's actually they brought him back for this last year's season as well, which was a delight. Yeah, he's also the voice of Cecil Tunt on Archer, which is always a delight.
Or if you're gonna in the inflection of Eugene Mirman, be
Yeah. I had the delight of seeing Eugene Mirman live at Bob's Burgers live last year. His stand-up is an absolute joy to watch, as are his performances of the many musical numbers from Bob's Burgers.
Which are like one of the main reasons I watch that show, I'm not going to lie.
I mean, it's basically become the best reason to watch the show. There are a lot of good reasons to watch Bob's Burgers, but the music is definitely up there.
I mean, I still think my favorite like musical that they did was the Die Hard Working Girl crossover, Work Hard or Die Trying Girl.
Yes.
So good.
Oh yeah, no, that one, and my personal favorite will probably always be the song of Topsy the Elephant.
Also very good. Electric Love.
Electric Love. Anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, go online and just look up the music from Bob's Burgers, and you will be delighted.
Oh, it's so good. I think it's on Hulu now. Is that where it lives online?
Yeah. Bob's Burgers now lives on Hulu, so anybody who's got a Hulu account, you'll be able to check it out.
Or borrow a Hulu account like I do.
Yeah.
And by borrow, I mean just use it. Don't ask. Just keep using something that someone logged you in for like a year ago.
I was about to say, did we ever figure out whose that was?
Nope.
All right. Cool. But
thank you to whoever.
Whoever it was, we appreciate you. Getting back to Eugene Mirman, the man is a treasure, and pretty much his entire goal in life seems to just, bring attention to the absurdities in the world around us and, help us to extract joy from the madness and the chaos that we are witnessing, which is a very noble endeavor.
It's very doodly, really.
Yeah, it's very doodly, and he does it in a very in this like kind of wonderfully passive aggressive or relaxed manner, which is so delightful to watch. He actually gained a little bit of attention back in, I think it was 2015. Because he took out a full-page ad in the I think it was Southampton paper, or summer guide rather, to complain about their absurd parking laws in this like beach resort community.
Which is a problem in like a lot of places in the U.S. actually.
Yeah. And he was talking about how he had like backed into a parking spot, paid for 3 hours of parking, came back 2 hours later, and he had a ticket. And initially he thought he had gotten the ticket for the time, and he has a whole line about, how do you know I'm not going to use all the time on the meter? Do you have precogs working on it? In that case, why are they working on parking enforcement?
Oh, precogs.
But he actually found out that he'd gotten the ticket because it was illegal to back into parking spaces, despite the fact that it was not marked anywhere. And he actually goes into their like city ordinances and finds the subclause outlawing this, and took out this full-page ad basically just ripping the city for doing this. And I mean, it was just so delightful. He also has a series on Audible right now, in which he basically has these very intimate, in-depth interviews with a lot of comedians and other celebrities, really kind of just getting their stories and their sort of like nostalgia for life and the U.S. and all this stuff on Audible, and it's a really delightful series. He also just really engenders this kind of love of discovery in his life and learning new things about the world around him. He has guested on a science podcast a number of times and done guest spots with people like Buzz Aldrin and Neil deGrasse Tyson and things like that. And his love of this sort of discovery and this awareness of the world around him is really something that stands out to me amongst a lot of artists and celebrities right now.
Yeah, well, and I mean, talk about doodly behavior. I mean, if you're looking at kind of the Taoist side of things, that's a big part of Taoism, right? Is exploring the natural world, keeping an open mind about what you are presented with, right? It's this sort of approaching things with almost like a child's mind sort of idea,
Absolutely. And that's really kind of where he seems to come from in these interviews and these podcasts and other mediums, is just an utter joy taken from observing and learning about the world around him.
Yeah, and I think it actually, I mean, my understanding of Bob's Burgers as a show is that a lot of the dialogue in that show is improvised between the actors. They'll put them in a booth, give them a situation, and they'll basically just sort of play off of each other.
Boy, that's got to be fun for the animators.
Oh, man. Well, it's got to be, I would love to just be a fly on the wall in that studio. Like, that would be super, just to see all the stuff that doesn't make the cut. But I think that attitude of his comes through in his character in the show, honestly, because...
oh, yeah.
I mean, if you watch the show at all, or if you've ever seen it, you'll know that Gene on the show very much has that kind of sense of like childlike wonder and discovery about him. And it's unerring, it's unwavering, and I think it's one of the most authentic things. One of the things that people like about that show is the children in that show act like children.
Yes. Yeah. I think that is definitely one of the draws to it. And yeah, just like the kind of thing I love about those characters on the show being their like total acceptance of the chaos around them.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like the children in Bob's Burgers definitely have a very woo-way sort of attitude about everything, about just riding with that very turbulent river of their lives and still finding the pleasure and the joy in life through it.
They really do. Well, and I think the thing too with that is that they again, they approach chaotic situations like children. They don't see like adults behaving badly as like the same way that an adult would,
Right.
And it's one of, I think, the points of comedy on the show, right, is that you have 3 children who are all voiced by adults, acting like children, and it comes across, in my opinion anyway, as incredibly authentic.
Yeah, it's very genuine.
So
Yeah, so I just really wanted to talk about this. I mean, Eugene Mirman has kind of like intentionally kept himself out of like a lot of the national debates and conversations and things like that. Although he has definitely come around in the last year. Because we should absolutely be talking about a lot of things.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And his interviews have included such gems as describing 45 as a monsoon of garbage. I think were his exact words. Nice. And, but also raising awareness to things like the border situation that we are still dealing with right now. But yeah, it's he's definitely, I mean, he's one of those people. He uses his powers for good. He definitely uses his powers and his voice to try and help others. And so yeah, just Eugene, I actually, this is a genuine invitation. I would love to have you on the show. I know that you are also ordained in a religion, the name of which I don't believe you even could remember during your comedy show that I saw, which is very doodly of you. Yeah, so Eugene, I know that you are out there, and that I know you listen to podcasts. So yeah, I would love it if you would come on the show and talk to us. It'll be dealer's choice for the subject.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, and really, Eugene Mirman, anybody who does Bob's Burgers, I think would be actually awesome to get on this show.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, I think our previous invitations were serious in that we would absolutely have any of those people that we've mentioned so far on this podcast.
Oh yeah.
That would be a thrill. So yeah, Eugene, if you'd like to come on, we would love to have you.
Yeah, and cheers to you, man. I look forward to many more delightful years of your work.
Indeed. Cheers.
Wow, that was loud on the waveform.
Those were bottles clinking and not an earthquake in your ears, folks.
Do apologize for any tinnitus that you might be suffering from now.
But I guess that kind of brings us then into our main topic of the week.
Yes.
So that topic this week is marijuana, weed, Mary Jane. The sticky icky,
the devil's lettuce.
Yes, whatever fun term you use for the thing that gets you high, man.
Yeah.
So
I call it my best friend.
It is indeed a delight, and if you have never tried it, or you live somewhere where maybe it's not as easily accessible, well, first of all, we don't advocate breaking any laws per se.
No. I mean, I'm not going to tell you to go out and do anything illegal.
But look, I would say very much in keeping not only with the dude in The Big Lebowski, but also some of our favorite people, I would recommend at least trying this this substance.
Come out to California.
Yeah, we'll smoke you out. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be great.
I can say no to that. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and talk about weed, and also particularly weed in the context of The Big Lebowski and dudism as a whole. So the first thing I've got on my list here is I actually went through the film and noted every time he smokes weed, the dude smokes weed in the film. It happens 4 times throughout the movie.
Really? Only 4?
Right. And that surprised me too. I did kind of like a quick watch through just to see whenever he would toke up. And there are definitely some of the funnier scenes in the movie.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's usually used as a point of comedy in the film.
Yeah, I mean, like one of my absolute favorite lines in the entire movie.
Yeah, is the first time, actually.
Which I intend, I really want the title of the episode to just be that line.
Yeah, we'll do that, I think, yeah. But yeah, so at the 23-minute mark is the first time that the dude smokes weed in the film. He is being... not interrogated. He's been brought back to the Big Lebowski's manse, if you will.
Yeah.
To be given the task of finding his wife who has gone missing, and the dude, kind of only half paying attention and kind of not happy to be there, says, "Mind if I do a J?"
Yep.
in the middle of this like kind of monologue that the Big Lebowski had planned for him.
Yeah, which is, in my opinion, the best way to ask permission to light up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's actually how I always address the assembly before I light up.
Yeah, and honestly, it's in my opinion. Well, so here's the thing: for me and weed, the issue that I run into is I have asthma. It's hard for me to smoke anything, let alone weed. And if I'm going to actually like light plant matter on fire and smoke it, J's or blunts or any form of like wrapped like cigarette style marijuana is to me the easiest way to inhale it. Hitting bongs is like about a 50-50 of me just coughing my brains out.
Yeah, although if you hyperventilate yourself, I guess you do absorb it a little bit faster.
True, it gets around to the bloodstream from you like tearing up your throat from all the coughing, but
And you won't feel it.
no, you definitely won't feel it. I do get a nice numbing sensation from that, and it's happened a number of times in my life because my lungs are garbage. So yeah, compared to like using a piece or anything like that, I prefer a rolled, almost like cigarette style.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I prefer using vape pens nowadays because that's the least likely to fuck up my.
Yeah, it's like they don't mess with your lungs so much. They don't have the smell and everything to them, which I know that's some people's complaint. About Mary Jane is that she smells.
She does smell, but she doesn't. I would say it also though doesn't smell quite as potently as tobacco.
No, it's not like. I mean, and this is coming from somebody who still indulges in cigar and pipe tobacco.
Same.
Former cigarettes, but. Yeah, even then, like cigarettes are really the only ones that like I kind of like close up my nostrils and everything whenever I'm around it now, and the smell of weed smoke just never really got to me all that much.
And it kind of like dissipates too, like it doesn't stick around.
Yeah, it doesn't hover in the air as much.
But then, so the next instance of weed smoking in the movie happens a solid 30 minutes later down the line. It's at the 54-minute mark.
That is just insane to me.
Yep, and this is the classic scene of the dude in a bathtub listening to whale sounds, trying his best to relax, and he is rudely interrupted.
Only to be interrupted by marmot-wielding nihilists.
And threats of castration and all that good stuff.
Threats of the loss of his Johnson.
Yep. And I think probably kind of understandably in the flow of the film, then the next instance happens at the 65-minute mark, about 10 minutes later, while driving, listening to some Creedence.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes, mostly because that is my favorite Creedence song.
It's a damn good one.
Looking Out My Back Door.
Yeah, it is. I like Creedence generally. It's up there. It's in like probably my top 5 of their songs for sure.
Yeah, I think it's actually one of my personal favorites. Funny little story: when I was working at Home Depot, I was trained as a millwork specialist, and one time I did like advanced training with like the national millworks director for the company, and he would actually close out every training session by playing Looking Out My Back Door, and I thought that was so fucking great. I loved it so much whenever he did that.
That's great. But this is another point of comedy in the film, right? So he's the dude smoking a J. He goes to flick the cigarette out the window, but his windows had been jammed when his car was stolen earlier in the film.
Right.
And he forgets this. It bounces off the glass and lands in his lap, and he freaks out trying to put out the butt.
He's drinking a beer as well and pours it into his lap.
Another activity we maybe would not advocate. Smoking and drinking while driving.
Yeah, I was about to say this is a very look. We encourage you to take her easy. Please don't take her quite that easy.
Yeah, drive safe, guys. Come on. But then the last instance of weed smoking in the film is at the minute 28 mark. So about another 20 minutes down the line. You get the what I've labeled here as the post-coitus bragging.
Oh yes, I was trying to read that over your shoulder, and I read post-credits blogging, and I was like, what the fuck is he talking about?
My handwriting is chicken scratch. But yeah, no, it's so it's the scene where the dude is laying in bed with Maud after she has she's the one who initiated the sex. if you will.
Yes, yes.
And
Maud is a very liberated woman. She doesn't mind initiating the intimate situations.
Indeed. And so yeah, after well, they kind of do a fadeaway. There's not really a sex scene in the movie, but they but then afterwards she's asking.
There's not a sex scene in the movie.
No. It's implied a few different times, but it's not.
I mean,
there's
it's
no
implied, but they don't actually show it.
It's not rated R for nudity or anything like that. So
no, this movie is definitely not rated R for nudity.
Probably the 100 some odd fuck words that they had uttered throughout, but not
just
nudity.
Fuck word after fuck word.
There are a lot of them. But yeah, so they're laying in bed. Maud asks the dude what he does, broadly speaking, I think, and he kind of rambles about a few things. This is, I think, the scene where you get kind of the biggest tie-in to the kind of originator of the dude as a character, Jeffrey Dowd.
Oh, yeah.
Because the dude mentions how he was one of the authors of the Port Huron Statement. He also mentions that he occupied many administrative buildings during his time in college.
Which Jeff Dowd was kind of infamous for. We should actually do an episode on Jeff Dowd. Come to think of it, sorry to do housekeeping in the middle of an episode, but
you're right. We should. Yeah,
I'm a little amazed that we haven't actually said we were going to do that before now.
Yeah, probably show up as a great dude of history, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, considering the fact that he is the inspiration for the dude.
Yeah. But yeah, so the dude is smoking while he's going through this sort of list of exploits, and he, from what I can tell, actually does choke on like the butt of it.
Yeah. He chokes on it in that particular scene.
Yeah, it looks like it might not have been planned. It looks like he actually does inhale like a bit of like lit.
Yeah. Well, funny story. I don't remember if they actually had Jeff Bridges smoking weed in those scenes or not. But I do remember hearing in an interview with him at one point that before every single scene with the dude, he would ask the Coens if the dude burned one on the way to the scene, and if they said yes, he would rub his knuckles in his eyes to make his eyes bloodshot for the scene.
That's commitment to a role right there.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a reason that this might be Jeff Bridges' like lasting role, which it seems like he has embraced pretty openly and pretty warmly.
Oh, totally. Well, and he's done some great work outside of this role for sure.
Tron.
Well, Tron was fine, but I mean, like, he's won Academy Awards.
Crazy Heart is obviously like a fucking brilliant performance on his part. But yeah, it's like I don't think the world's gonna have any trouble remembering Jeff Bridges.
No, I think there's a really solid chance that this will be the film he's most well known for.
He's most remembered for. I think there's definitely a possibility.
But yeah, so those surprisingly enough are the only 4 instances of weed being smoked on screen in the film.
Yeah, I'm actually genuinely surprised by that because I've never paid attention before.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, you would 100% think, just based on the film's reputation and its analysis, that it would be a lot more prevalent.
Yeah. I was sort of surprised as well, although at one point in my past, years and years ago, I did the Lebowski Challenge, which basically means it's kind of like a drinking game. The idea of this game
drinking
is
slash
smoking. The idea of this game is that you drink every time the dude drinks, and you drink what he drinks. So you drink White Russians or beers, depending on what he's drinking. You smoke weed every time he smokes weed, and you eat In-N-Out every time they get In-N-Out in the film, which is a grand total of once.
Yeah, I was about to say you can just have a bag of In-N-Out standing by for that particular scene.
Yeah, but if you smoke weed 4 times
sounds delightful, actually, when you think about it. Just like have In-N-Out prepped for whenever you're ready for it in the movie.
Oh yeah,
like that actually sounds like a pretty good time.
Might need to nuke it because that happens,
fair ways
into the film. But by the time you get there, you've had a handful of White Russians and beers and smoked, I think, 3 out of the 4 times. So you're kind of ready for that In-N-Out by the time you get there.
Yeah, so that would make sense. I mean, my God, there are days when that's all I fucking want in the world. There was a time a couple of weeks ago, or not a couple of months ago, I was sick and I was in Simi Valley, So I was in a bad mood.
Sure.
And
Because it's Simi fucking Valley. I mean, it's bad enough.
look, I've met some fine people from Simi Valley, but let me tell you, it's not pleasant, especially right now, with the 117-degree heat that we're going through at the moment. Going down into a desert valley is not fun.
No.
So yeah, I was sick, and all I wanted in the goddamn world was In-N-Out. That's all I wanted. And I must have been to 5 In-N-Outs that day and could not find one where the line wasn't literally into the street from wherever the takeout window was.
Yeah. Yeah. Common sight for
Yeah, very common sight for people who are not in California and don't know what hell it is to try and get into an In-N-Out burger.
Yeah, In-N-Out. Yeah, well, it's I think they also have them in like Nevada and as far out as Utah.
Yeah,
now.
they're expanding now,
but they're expanding slowly because they actually give half a shit about how they source their like ingredients and all that stuff. For those who don't live in California aren't familiar, In-N-Out is like a burger chain.
Yeah, it's a I guess you would say local burger chain. I think they started in L.A.
I think so.
Because they were patronized by like mostly surfers for a long time, and that's where you get like animal style. Yeah. At In-N-Out, it was the surfers would come in and they would request like the highest calorie burger basically that you could get your hands on, and so they created animal style, which is the one where they have like the liquid cheese and all that stuff on it.
Yeah, it's so it's a burger chain. It's all over the state of California, and it's wonderful. It's reasonably priced, and
it's cheap.
Yeah,
is what you're like. It is
cheap,
literally.
But good,
it's the thing is that I fucking love about In-N-Out Burger is you will pay half as much as you will at like a Carl's Jr. or Wendy's or Hardee's or something like that. And honest to God, I think it's better.
Oh, it is. Yeah. They go through so much. Well, I think part of it is that they go through just so much volume of production. Like they keep their quality up.
Yeah, I mean the vegetables are actually fresh.
Yeah, the lettuce tastes like lettuce. The tomatoes actually taste like tomatoes. Like,
the onions will haunt you for days.
Yeah, in their perfection.
I mean, I love onions, but my God.
But they're if you've ever been to California, you've probably at least heard of it. People around here will talk about it endlessly. I grew up in California. I grew up eating this. It is. To my homies in Texas and Oklahoma, think about how we feel about Brahms. It's more or less like how, or I guess Texans and Whataburger, Oklahomans and Brahms. Like that's how Californians feel about In-N-Out. Yeah, and I mean, like you said, like you are hard pressed to go to an In-N-Out any time of day or night because they're open pretty late. Any time of day or night and not see a line literally like snaking out of the parking lot through the drive-through. Like it's crazy. Like it's always busy. So yeah, and it can be discouraging if you're like me and you don't enjoy crowds. But yeah,
both of us.
But
we're both introverts. That's why we're in the podcast business and not some other form of art.
That is very fucking true. But yeah, and
leave us alone.
Well, I don't know if you saw this a while ago. There was a pop-up for In-N-Out, like I think in London. It was like a 24-hour pop-up.
Fuck, really?
Yeah, and it was like crazy. Like again, like a line like down the block of people waiting to get in from people who'd heard about it or people who had vacationed in California and had it but hadn't had it in years, that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I saw it. This was maybe 2 years ago.
I'm going to have to look that up when I get home because that sounds just fucking delightful. So maybe we should get back to the subject at hand.
This is we've gone down a bit of a tasty burger rabbit hole here.
Yeah, I know, and I'm the one that's high. Like I would have expected you to like bring us back.
Am I guiding the ship? Oh shit, we're all fucked.
It's like that cookie's definitely kicked in by this point. So yeah, I'm going to be extra rambly, so okay. I'm going to need you to like tell me to shut the fuck up.
All right, I will. I'll try to keep us on course.
Okay.
Well, the only other note I had concerning the occurrences of weed being smoked in the film is I did bookmark a chapter of the Dao De Ching here that basically deals directly with consuming weed. So I will read. I think I'll read the original text first, and then I'll do the Dudist text just to kind of drive it home.
All right.
So this is Tao Te Ching, chapter 48. So it reads: In the development of knowledge, there is a daily augmenting, but in the development of Tao, there is a daily diminishing. One strives less and less until all actions unfold without objective. Although one appears to do very little at all, everything important is achieved. To effectively husband the world, do not wrestle with it. Obstruct its natural flow, and you will find yourself pushed aside. So this is very much in that sort of Wu Wei sort of vein of things.
Yeah.
So the Dude De Ching, the Dudist version, reads: The follower of achievement accomplishes more than most men. The follower of the Dude just drops in to see what condition his condition is in.
Ha!
By slowing down his career, the Dude reaches a state of total pacifism. By letting things roll freely, allowing the pins to fall where they may, he strikes effectively, sparing little. Which bothers some men. Beaver. To conquer the world...
Okay, it's been a while since I've read it, and I fucking forgot about that part.
To conquer the world, take it easy. If you must do something, do a J, and let the world conquer itself.
Oh, beautiful.
So
Absolutely beautiful.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, when you get down to it, marijuana, cannabis, if we want to be scientific here,
Sure.
has actually been a component in a lot of religion for about 3,000 years now, 2,500, 3,000 years. It actually has played a very important role in a lot of like shamanic spiritualities.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of interesting that it's fairly prominently associated with with Dudism as a component in the life of the Dude.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was a Chinese healer who actually wrote about marijuana, his actual, like, the consumption of as they put it, cannabis fruit and seeds. To make much people to take much makes people see demons and throw themselves about like maniacs. But if one takes it over a long period of time, one can communicate with the spirits and one's body becomes light. I can personally testify to the last part of that.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, definitely. It kind of gives you. I experience that when I get high.
I'm experiencing it right now.
Yeah, sort of a sense of floatiness. Yeah.
That's why my arms haven't actually been in my lap the entire time.
Well, that's why that's been going on.
And it's also hot. I'm trying to like not sweat all down.
It is warm. This is true.
But yeah, Taoist priests in the 5th century wrote cannabis is used by necromancers in combination with ginseng to set forward time and in order to reveal future events. Yeah.
Time travel.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, reading the tea leaves as well.
Yeah, reading the cannabinoids.
Yeah, the weed leaves.
Yeah, so it has been a part of religion and medicine for many, many years. The United States is unfortunately extremely backwards in its views towards cannabis and its potential benefits, both medically and spiritually.
Yeah, although things are improving.
They are improving. I mean, even fucking Oklahoma. I finally get to say something good about my state. Oh my God!
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, you see, that's the thing is I love Oklahoma and I love my home state, but Jesus Christ, guys. Mary Fallon, really? Why? So yeah, no, they finally legalized medical in the last election that they just had.
Yeah,
here.
I think if I'm remembering the number right, we're up to 30 states that are either where it's either legal for medical uses or recreationally. I think it's up to 30 now.
So yeah, take that, Jeff Sessions, you evil Keebler elf, you.
Yeah, well, and it should be noted. Yeah, the marijuana on the national level is still illegal. It's considered a Schedule I drug, which has served no one really at this point because it also hampers people's ability to do research on it.
Even when you go on the national government's website for information on drug abuse. They're claiming things on that website like that there's a correlation between the use of marijuana and the loss of IQ points,
which is just insane.
Which is just insane. There have actually been I watched a documentary on Netflix last week called The Legend of 420. Everybody should go check it out. It's actually an excellent documentary talking about the applications and the continuing push to legalize cannabis in the United States. And they're talking about how there have been now over 25,000 medical studies that have in some form or fashion included study on marijuana. And there has been no scientific evidence ever presented to suggest that marijuana is in fact dangerous, addictive, a gateway drug. It's not true.
Yeah,
it is not true.
Yeah. And that's the science speaking loud, man. I mean, that's just what it is. So
yeah,
it's good to see that states are, kind of taking the initiative on this one.
Mm-hmm.
That's heartening to see, and that's one of the things that's a basic structure of American democracy, right? And so, it's good to see that at least happening. And
today, Oklahoma, tomorrow, Kansas.
Oh God! If I was in Kansas, I think that's all I'd want to do is smoke weed. I mean,
it's like I've only been to Kansas once, and that was to go to a Walmart because there wasn't one in my cousin's hometown in the panhandle of Oklahoma.
That's one of the most depressing sentences you've ever said to me.
It is. No, although the funny, this is funny. Mm-hmm. This is genuinely funny. Okay, this might be the funniest thing I will ever tell you on this podcast. At the time, my cousins lived in Hooker, Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good start.
So you will never know, unless you go there, the joy of seeing a police car that literally says Hooker Police on the side of it.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, I had to sit down in someone's yard. I was laughing so hard when I saw one of those roll down the street.
Wow.
So yeah. So that's a thing. Hooker, Oklahoma is a thing.
Hey, if you're in Hooker, Oklahoma, and you're listening to our voices right now, shout out to you. And you're a hilariously named town.
Yeah, and you're one. I swear to God, I'm not making any of this up. Okay,
I believe you. Yeah.
Their high school football team's mascot is a horny toad.
Of course it is.
They're the Hooker Horny Toads.
It's just it's nourishment for my soul.
The closest Walmart is in Liberal, Kansas.
Oh man. Just we can end the episode right here. That's all I need to know. That's wonderful.
And finally, the best one. I say the best for last.
Okay.
You can get to Hooker, Oklahoma by crossing Crotch Creek.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Man.
Sometimes life just hands you gold.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
When life gives you lemons, then you just got to make thinly veiled sex jokes.
Yeah, I know. Which I like I said, this is all 100% true, folks.
I have a new place to visit. I mean, I'd like to get to all 50 states. Kansas I've never been to, but you know what? I'd love to go at some point.
Stand out in the middle of, I don't know, a field.
I have family in Kansas. I've just never been.
I've been to Walmart.
Yeah, hey. And I mean, look, that's all you really need in life is Walmart, family, and cornfields, I suppose. So, and, funny names. I got to go. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all there is to it. Road trip time.
Yeah.
I'm going to drive my happy ass out to Kansas and see all these delightful things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Basically, marijuana has a very long history.
Talk about rough transitions, man. All right.
A long history of being used in spirituality. Actually, Herodotus, the ancient Greek, wrote about the use of marijuana by the Scythians about 440 BC.
Okay.
Where they would basically build what we in America would refer to as teepees. and they would have rocks that they had heated up to vaporize the buds when they poured them onto it. And the actual writing is, I fucking love this passage because it comes up a lot in my line of work. Because for some inexplicable reason, the beer world likes to heavily intermingle with the marijuana world.
Yeah.
So there's actually this writing from Herodotus about the Scythians. It says, they make a booth by fixing in the ground 3 sticks inclined it towards one another and stretching around them woolen felts, which they arrange so as to fit as close as possible. Inside the booth, a dish is placed upon the ground into which they put a number of red-hot stones and then add some hemp seeds. The Scythians, as I said, take some of this hemp seed and, creeping under the felt coverings, throw it upon the red-hot stones. Immediately it smokes and gives out such a vapor as no Grecian vapor bath can exceed. The Scyths, delighted, shout for joy, and this vapor serves them instead of a water bath, for they never, by any chance, wash their bodies with water.
Wow. Herodotus.
Just saying, marijuana sweat lodge. Mm-hmm. Who's with me?
I mean, that sounds delightful to me.
So yeah, I just basically wanted to sort of historically defend marijuana in addition to what you've shared with us.
Yeah, well, and I think it's kind of similar to, I think we talked about this a while ago, how like alcohol, right? So we talked about brewing and everything, and there's been lots of examples just in nature of animals seeking out fermented like fruit, and various other things that are intoxicants, essentially, that will get you in some way high. And this, I think, just speaks to the kind of nature of weed or anything like that, where it's something that, human beings and just sort of animals in general seek out.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, it's like the act of getting high or getting intoxicated is, quite frankly, very natural.
Yeah. Yeah. It relaxes you. I mean, there's, I think, if you want to talk about like the benefits of such things and why maybe just evolutionarily we've species have evolved to seek this out. I mean, it relaxes you. It if you're stressed, if you're constantly looking for food and seeking the nourishment you need to continue living, it's a stressful thing.
Yeah.
And stress is really detrimental to your health. I mean, you talk about study after study showing that. I mean, stress is.
Yeah. Living is stressful, which is ironic because stress reduces your ability to live.
Yeah, it's one of the damn comedies.
Yeah.
Of it all, but yeah. So drinking or smoking weed or anything like that cuts that stress. It allows you to maybe think a little more thoroughly and clearly. Maybe not weed so much, but it allows you to take a step back.
I don't know. I tend to focus on things with certain blends with remarkable precision.
That's a fair point. I mean, you get fixated. I mean, and also it has other positive effects.
It's 420 right now.
Perfect. But it has other benefits too. Like if you're there's a lot of talk about it in use with like cancer patients who are going through chemo. It stimulates.
It's been
hunger.
used to help treat PTSD in veterans. It's a not only is it potentially a spiritual thing, it's a practical medicinal thing as well.
Absolutely.
And it's absolutely absurd, the attitudes that are still surrounding it.
Yeah. And I think, and again, I'm glad to see things are changing slowly and surely. It seems like that's the direction things have been going here in the States. I think, Canada just legalized it, which is pretty rad.
Yeah.
I love the photo that showed up on the news for that, where it's like this big crowd of people in front of I think this big building. Maybe it's their version of the Supreme Court, I guess.
Sure.
And there's just this hazy cloud over the scene. It's just wonderful.
Oh, cheers, Canada. Fucking love it.
Constantly.
Fucking love it.
Constantly delightful.
So yeah, everybody. I know this was probably a bit more rambly than most of our other episodes,
Which I feel is fitting for the topic at hand. But,
yeah, no, and my personal state at the moment.
yeah. But I think we stayed more or less here with the topic.
Yeah. At least I didn't just stop talking, which definitely happens at times when I partake. So
Definitely.
yeah, I think just my advice to everybody: go out and have a little cannabis and enjoy life.
Yeah, man, and consume these things, either alcohol or weed. Consume them responsibly. Do not drive under the influence. Please.
Yeah. Don't drive high. It's not cool.
And don't get like high and go to work. I mean, I would recommend against that.
I mean, unless it's conducive to whatever you're doing, I guess. But
yeah, but be responsible, be reasonable, but set aside some time. I think it's best to set aside time, or if you know that you don't have anything going on for a while, that's the time to smoke.
Yeah,
for
that's
me
fair.
Personally, I like to use
like
it as
the 4th of July. I didn't have anything going on. I got high twice.
Yeah, I smoked last night. I was just hanging out, just playing some video games, unwinding, having a chill Saturday.
Boy, it sure is nice to have a balcony, isn't it?
It really is.
Both of us live in places where we have like a private balcony available to us, and man, it makes smoking weed so much better.
It really does, man. You just get a chance to unwind. It's kind of similar to our attitudes about smoking pipes. If you'd like to hear more about pipe smoking, like tobacco pipe smoking, should check out.
There's unfortunately no longer in production, but did a few episodes of a podcast called Get Off My Lawn, and Alex here guested on our pipe episode, and that was a delight.
Yep, but similar sort of, I would say, ethos for me personally between smoking weed and smoking pipe tobacco.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess that brings us to our final segment, which is getting to the dude of the matter.
I just looked over and saw an article about coffee, and I'm literally like trying to read it as we're talking out of the main segment. So please take me away. I can't stand the suspense on this one.
So I think this is particularly fitting, considering that we were talking this episode about drugs, essentially. So we're going to talk about a different drug.
Technically, I guess a depressant, although I hate that term.
Yeah, I don't know if I would. Well, I mean, yeah, but so the article I found, I was really pleased to actually find something positive in the news this last week.
It's been a rough one, folks.
It's been a rough one. So I was really happy to find this article. The title of which, this is from NPR. The title of which is "Coffee Drinkers Are More Likely to Live Longer. Decaf May Do the Trick Too." So this has been making the rounds. I know I saw it in social media before I saw the actual article, but another in a long line of scientific studies basically proving the health benefits of drinking coffee. Which is another.
It is truly the jizz of God.
It's a joy for me. I drink coffee every day. If I don't drink coffee every day, I get a little bit of a headache. I get grouchy.
I was about to say, you don't even want to know. I'm basically hulking out if I don't, like hulking out in the most pathetic way possible if I don't drink coffee.
Oh, man. I'm similar. I have incorporated actually into my walking routine. I try to take walks every day, try to be a little bit healthier in my lifestyle. And I walk to a coffee shop. Like, that's what I do. Because it's like my energy drink. I like to joke, I'll get there and get like a cold brew and drink it on the way home.
No, absolutely. So. Screw energy drinks. Coffee is absolutely superior in every conceivable way.
I concur. Energy drinks are a little too jittery for me. I can't do it. Too much sugar too.
Too much sugar. And just like too much stuff that in the state of California will probably give you cancer.
Safe bet. I also get a slight allergic reaction, honestly. I think it's the taurine. I get a little bit congested.
I got one when I was working in the liquor store that shall not be named a while back. We got this one in that literally had I think it was 90 milligrams of taurine or something in it, and then on top of that was 180 milligrams of caffeine in it. And so everybody knew that I was, an absolute caffeine junkie and that I cannot function without it. As in, I had to go home from work because I accidentally ordered a caffeine-free drink from Starbucks one time.
Wow.
I got this thing and everyone expected me to just have a heart attack because I just fucking downed it. And no results
Wow.
from it whatsoever. So apparently, I don't know if I'm superhuman or if I'm just going to die at like 45. But
Well, yeah. Well, according to this article, maybe not.
I was about to say, I'm encouraged by the statistics that I'm looking at here.
Yeah, well, this was actually a really interesting study. So I read this article about it. So this was a study in, I love this name. It was JAMA, JAMA, International Medicine magazine.
I was about to say,
And,
boy, they missed the boat by one letter there.
But so the participants in this study, they were between age 38 and 73. It was a really big range of participants, and there was, I think, literally like 500,000 participants in this study. It was a huge study.
Jesus.
And what they found that in the study is that consuming 2 to 3 cups of coffee daily actually lowered your overall risk of death by any number of factors by as much as 12%.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. Done.
Yeah, I mean, like, further confirmation to my habit that I already have.
Yeah. It's nice when that happens, isn't it?
But this is adding again to this sort of wealth of research that's already out there. There's been a number of studies in the U.S. that show a daily coffee habit is linked to decreased risk of stroke and type 2 diabetes. So these are already studies that have been well established.
I mean, yeah. I hope. There is a history of diabetes in my family, so...
Same, actually. So for me, it seems like a logical choice. And again, I don't usually add sugar to my coffee. That's another thing, too. The most I ever do is like a splash of milk, really. So
yeah, I'm a black coffee drinker. Like, I usually don't add anything to it.
Yep. If I really only add milk if I'm in the mood for that kind of creamy texture. I like literally do like a splash. I don't do like a lot of milk into it. Lattes for me are just like right out.
Very slight thing. If anybody wants to hear the episode that Kyle and I did on coffee on Get Off My Lawn, it is out there too.
Oh yeah, and that's actually your guys' technique for doing a French press coffee. French press coffee is probably my favorite way to prepare coffee, and the technique that you guys use, which is also Alton Brown's technique, is by far the best.
I literally used it this morning, making myself a bit of a modern times summer blend.
I do leave out the salt because he uses like just a crack
yeah, I
of
do
salt.
too.
Yeah, it's a little bit too much.
Yeah,
but
Kyle does that, but I don't know. I just never have seen the benefit.
I think if I had like some shitty coffee beans, maybe I would do it just to cut the bitterness. But I use good coffee, so
yeah. No, I was about to say my coffee costs more than a lot of the meat I buy, so you know.
Same. But anyway, so they were talking to someone who was linked to this study. I can't remember the scientist's name, but he was saying, sorry, pal. But he was saying in this article that there are literally thousands of different chemicals in brewed coffee, in prepared coffee. The actual process of roasting the bean and then actually like preparing the coffee produces literally thousands of different kinds of chemicals.
Chemical process is truly fascinating. If anybody's unfamiliar with how coffee is prepared, go on YouTube and just like watch a few videos. It is fascinating.
It really is, and it's such a chain of things too.
If anybody's into cooking or chemistry.
Yeah, either, really. But the thing is, like, they haven't been able to really isolate exactly which chemicals are beneficial, even though there's been multiple studies. But he was saying that there are a number of chemicals that they have isolated that could be potentially beneficial. But I love this guy's attitude about it, because he said that it could actually be just as simple of the fact that drinking coffee is an enjoyable thing. It brings people joy.
Yeah,
you know?
I've heard similar reports as well. That just engaging in an activity that you enjoy helps reduce stress levels, which then engages, certain chemical receptors within your brain that are beneficial.
Yeah, it releases dopamine. Kind of back to our talking about weed or tobacco smoking or drinking alcohol. Like any
dopamine, my friend.
It's necessary. It's a necessary part of life. And I got the quote from the guy. Let me get his name. Gardner is the guy's name. And he says, it's a simple pleasure. He's like, think about when you're drinking coffee. Aren't you stopping and relaxing a little bit? He says it's such a simple pleasure. Quote, I just love holding that hot beverage in my hand. It's the morning ritual, he says. He drinks at least 3 cups a day. So,
boy, I really want a cup of coffee right now.
Yeah, and so the other thing too is that I think for a long time they mentioned in this article that coffee drinking was actually for a long time kind of almost like a health boogeyman, right? It was looked upon as being for whatever reason not a healthy habit.
One of those things that's gone back and forth a lot.
But actually, I never had heard this before. And the thing they noted at the end of this article is that the original bad rap of coffee actually was likely due to the fact that most studies that were being done with it linked it to smoking.
Coffee and cigarettes.
Yeah, coffee and cigarettes, the classic kind of quote unquote classic combo, or the idea that people would take smoke breaks / coffee breaks at work. These are things that are sort of ingrained into at least American culture. And I guess probably global culture too.
Kind of makes sense, yeah.
But that's the thing, is like these things were tied together, linked together in these studies, but they were never really studied separately until more recently. Like that was a misconception that was existing up until like the 80s, I believe is what they were saying. Into the 80s, and you see it in media, right? You see people drinking coffee and smoking at the same time.
Yeah, you know, I was about to say, it's, as a former cigarette smoker, yeah, it is truly a pleasurable activity. But I would encourage everybody to maybe choose a different smoke than cigarettes.
Yeah, they're rough. I mean, I used to smoke too, and you're right. I did that at times. I would smoke a cigarette and drink a coffee, and you're getting that kind of double hit, right? You're getting dopamine on two fronts, and it's awesome. Like it feels great. It really does. But yeah, smoking is. I mean, it's not the best habit to be in, for sure. I gave up cigarette smoking a long time ago. So.
Yeah. Both a little bit cleaner.
Yeah, I try to live relatively healthily. I mean, look, we live in California, so
yeah, it's kind of expected.
Yeah,
at this point.
But yeah, so coffee, man. Coffee seems to be back in vogue, I guess. But again, mounting evidence showing that there are health benefits to consuming it, and
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it seemed appropriate for our overall sort of topic for this week.
Yeah, it fit. It fit.
And
all right.
Just good times, man. So yeah, I think if there's any takeaway from this episode, it's make a nice cup of coffee, and
do a J, and you'll be happier for it.
Yeah, just chill, man. Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thanks for joining us for this incredibly rambly episode, folks. Maybe go out and get yourself some In-N-Out burger, or
hell yeah, man.
Drink some coffee, do a J, do something after being subjected to this.
Do something. Well, hey, look, if there's one takeaway from this show as a whole, it's like, dude, enjoy life and just chill, man. Just have a good time.
Absolutely. Feel free to reach out to us. We are currently live on Facebook and Twitter. For Facebook, the name of the group is...
it's facebook.com/PDDcast.
PDDcast, right. And you can tweet at us at PDDcast. You can email us at pddcast@gmail.com.
That's right.
So feel free to reach out to us if there's anything you'd like us to hear about, if you'd like to nominate anybody for a great dude in history or notably doodly. Just let us know. I'm probably going to start running out of material at some point in time, so any help that I can get would be phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a list of topics that we'd like to cover, but we are more than happy to take listener submissions. We'd like to thank everybody. We just crossed the 100 download mark.
Hell yeah, we podcast. Did. We were at 105 as of earlier today,
which is super cool. Appreciate everybody that's listening. Also appreciate everybody that's sharing the good word of this podcast. We got a couple listeners in Australia, which blew my mind.
Well, welcome, folks. So glad that you can take a few minutes out of your incredibly dangerous days, which I'm assuming you're going through. Because the wildlife in Australia is batshit insane.
Well, I do think it's particularly fitting, actually, that we got a couple listeners in Australia, like literally the same week that we watched The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Oh yeah, we did. We watched that in movie night, and it is. Oh my God, one of my favorite movies of all time. It's just so delightful.
I'd never seen it, and it is wonderful.
I mean, quite frankly, Australian cinema never ceases to delight me. You guys make some damn good movies.
It is true. So, we're happy to have you on board. Thanks for listening. And again, thanks to everyone for listening and sharing. We should shout out our music really
Absolutely. Quick. It's going to be a 2 p.m. wake-up call by the band Apache Tomcat. Cat.
Yep. Much thanks to them for putting up some truly excellent surf rock.
Yeah,
using.
and they've got some amazing like surf rock and punk rock albums that you can find online. I urge everyone to check them out. They've got a Facebook page as well, and they're not. It looks like they're not currently active, but I would say everybody follow them. I know that the band lead does still post on the Facebook every now and then, so everybody check them out.
Yeah, it's well worth your time. It's a chill time on their page as well.
Yeah.
Like to also just mention, we are part of a podcasting network. We are on Unit 24 Productions, so it's us and a few of our friends just making podcasts, man.
Yeah,
Having a good time.
Yeah, and so shout out to the other podcast that's currently active right now. Your Fave is Problematic with Liz and Kristen. Also, Jose and I will be dropping The Zone of the Unknown here pretty soon.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, as soon as we figure out a couple of little bits of housekeeping, that should be coming your way.
That's going to be rad. Yeah, so anything cryptid related, right?
Cryptid, mysterious, weird, serial killery, haunty. Yeah, we're going to tackle it all, man. We're going to just, try to destroy our psyches, I guess.
Just stare a little bit into that void, right?
Yeah, it's already gotten a little creepy in the discussions during recording. So, yeah, I look forward to inviting you all into this strange world that's even weirder than the one I currently inhabit.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. I love a good ghost story or anything creepy. Some of my favorite podcasts are creepy podcasts. So
there you go.
I'm excited to hear that when it comes out.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, folks, for joining us. We really appreciate you listening.
Yep. And I guess without any further ado, fuck it, dude.
Fuck it, dude.
Let's go bowling.
Let's go.
Hell yeah.